What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the podcast world? Today we have a little, they're saying when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well, life did give us lemons here on the BMAX Sports Tate and Josh in the Morning podcast. My lovely co-host, Tate, had to work. So, I have these two fine individuals here, both been guests on the podcast before. So I said, if I'm going to replace Tate, who will I replace him with? So I got two replacements to make sure it was extra fantastic. What's going on, guys?
Nothing much, man. Just glad to be back on the podcast.
What's up? Same here. I'm glad to be back.
So, we're going to start off with a Will question. Will, everybody who is friends with you, maybe not friends, just a fan, sees you've embarked on this weight loss journey.
Yes. I have, in the past month, I've cut 43 pounds. And I've cut 43 pounds, and honestly, I haven't felt better in a couple of years. I mean, I started at 293, and then in a month's time, I got down to 251 pounds. And that's a long way to drop, man. I mean, that's a really long way to drop.
So it's been straight, clean, and sober living.
Straight, clean, sober living. Quit smoking cigarettes since the last time I was on here.
How much do you think drinking alcohol like? And we got Jackson Cochran over there, who's the fucking gym guru. Looks like a damn Greek god over there, painted or chiseled out of stone. So, how much y'all think like alcohol really has to do with like weight loss?
I don't think you can be in like peak physical condition if you drink a pretty good amount more than once a week. That's for like peak physical condition. I believe you can drink a little bit once a week and you'll be fine, but more than that, I think it starts to affect you.
Well, so if you're, because I did my own, like when I was trying to lose some weight, because there was one time when I was like 250 pounds, I was like, something's got to give. Mm-hmm. So I get on there and I start losing a little bit of weight here and there, and then there was a month where I went without drinking alcohol just to see if it, and it really like my weight loss stayed the same and didn't really drop like all from and I was dieting the same, doing everything the same, hitting the gym the same amount of time.
Weren't you drinking like 30 beers at a time?
There was a point where, and I don't know what brought that on, dude. I've always been like somebody who could, I could always, well, I say always, maybe like senior year plus, mm-hmm. I could always drink a lot. I mean, dude, just drink. I don't know why. I guess
I can relate.
Just
Will,
I can relate.
Will, I have a question for you. Do you think you can be in pretty good shape if every single weekend you're slamming at least like a 30 pack, a 24 of beer on a Saturday?
I'll be honest.
Tailgate. Go to a football game later.
Well, because
I'll be honest. I've done it myself. And I've known people who've done it. I've been in pretty great shape drinking about a case of beer a day.
I'm not going to lie. In 2018, I was I was about 200 pounds, a little bit bigger than I am now. And every couple of weekends, I was going out with Joey, Dylan. I mean, throwing it back. I was having a good time. And I was in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you can be in good shape. I just don't think you can be in peak condition and do it more than once a week.
Well, really, I think it just depends on what's like, who the person is, obviously, because your genetics play such a big role in how you look physically and how you can maintain your physique and stuff like that. So I don't know if you can just say you can't do it. There's some people who can, but I was like drinking a lot and making making real stupid decisions, and so that's kind of like, I had some friends that sat me down and was like, hey, you're a moron. you gotta get your shit together, dude.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what.
Well, I remember my freshman year of college. In January of my freshman year, the second semester of my freshman year in January, I drank a case of beer every day for every day in January, and then at the end of January, I assessed myself in the mirror, and I was like, "Will, you got to do something different. Something's got to change. You're a freaking alcoholic." And so I started bodybuilding. And honestly, in another 4 months, I was like 215, shredded abs, just running 4 miles every morning, like made a quick transition.
Well, so I'm trying to think. Do you think so? You do think that alcohol is like directly involved with like you can't do it in excess, obviously.
I'll say for me, okay, not for everybody, but for me, it's a huge thing. Like I can drink like 1 day a week, and even then, I don't go crazy with it.
Yeah. Well, I think mine was just like a mental thing. It's like, okay, here's the weekend, and at that time I was working at Lawrence County Public Works, and I would get off work. We worked 4 days a week. I would get off work. Thursday, because we didn't work Friday, and dude, I'd go to the liquor store and the first thing I'd do was buy a 30 rack and a 12 pack, and it would be gone by Friday night. And then Saturday I'd have to go buy more beer for Saturday night and Sunday.
How much did you eat when you drank?
See, I don't drink. See, I get so full. Like some people drink and then like when they get drunk or something, they get hungry. That's not me. Mm-hmm. Like I get full.
I think that plays a major role because a lot of times when people drink, they eat too, and when it's not the munchies, it would be like
the science behind the whole alcohol. It dehydrates you. It takes oxygen out of your blood. So if you got less oxygen in your blood, that means you're gonna have less like oxygen flowing through your muscles. So like over a prolonged period of time, you would get more catabolic. But I think, like Will was saying, you can have Saturdays, whatever day you choose. If you want to do that, you can enjoy yourself. But anything in excess would just really mess you up.
Ronnie Coleman, before he won his first Mr. Olympia, he actually was drinking vodka the night before with another bottle.
With Kevin Levrone.
Yeah, he was drinking vodka the night before, and it dried him out so much he pissed all that water off, and he just looked better than he ever had, and he ended up winning his first Mr. Olympia.
I could show you the video. Kevin Levrone, he was like interviewed. They're like, Ronnie Coleman was asking Kevin like, how can he get more condition, and then Kevin was like, man, just chill out, bro. Take a fucking drink. And he went out there, and the next day he won the Mr. Olympia.
Do you think there's like some point where people get like too into it? Because you see people a lot of times that they'll go to the gym, they'll be working out 3 a days. I don't know how people, dude, I can barely get in on 1 a day. And so they'll be working out 3 a days. They'll be there for 2 hours or 3 hours. So I mean, eventually, I think if you do a workout for 3 hours, what is your recovery time? I mean, you got to start thinking about your body's recovery time.
Will definitely explain this.
Well, if you're talking about like intense workout for 3 hours, and you're not taking in, like if you're dieting and doing that, like you're not taking in nearly enough nutrition to sustain that, you're going to end up eating a lot of muscle mass away, and your muscles are just going to atrophy. You'll be in a constant catabolic state, and you'll burn everything up. And when you might get down there on the scale, and the scale looks right, but in the mirror you don't see what you want to see.
Like wrestlers will really cut a lot of weight every week, and they'll just be going hard at it. So this is the thing about cutting weight in like MMA, wrestling. And Dorian Yates was talking about this, like, I don't know how long ago, but this is kind of like common sense. When you're doing that to your body, you're shocking your body really hard. Like, working out that long, depriving yourself of nutrition. Eventually, your body's going to, muscle atrophies quicker. It dissipates faster than fat does. So that's what's going to go first.
Well, you kind of start seeing that, like, in the UFC, guys who have been in there for 10 years, guys who are, like, on the last leg of their fighting career. When they start doing those dramatic weight cuts, their fights just don't seem like they're number one. They don't seem energetic.
No,
they come out real slow.
You lose muscle, and you'll lose muscle, and your body's just going to cling on to fat for like it's the only energy source.
So that's what, because I always see these people. They'll put on like their Facebook or something, and they'll be like, oh well, just did a 2.5 hour workout, just did a 4.5 hour workout, and because obviously y'all know more about physical fitness than I do. That's what I was kind of wondering is like how good is that on your? Because I know you need a recovery day. Somebody who's going to the gym 7 days a week, their body is not. They might look good, but their body's not doing great.
It depends on how you stagger the 7 days.
Yeah.
Like if you go in with a plan, like I'm going to do chest on Monday, I'm going to do buys on Tuesday, I'm going to do legs on Wednesday. I'm going to do triceps on Thursday, which gives you 2 easy days on bicep and tricep. And then Friday you do shoulders, and then Saturday you do deadlifts, and then Sunday you do upper back. Well, you spread it out so much to where you're just like constantly be able to train. Your workouts don't take near as long, and it's a great way to put on size.
Yeah, but I mean at the same time, there's like you've got dudes who will go in there and do like 4 or 5 full body workouts every week, and then on top of that, they're doing cardio, which a lot of people don't know. Dude, treadmills are terrible for your knees. Terrible for your knees.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that like if you're a guy who's over 190 to 200 pounds, they're not like the best thing for you to do is get like on a Stairmaster or something. I don't know, like I'm sure there's people out there who 200 pounds are like, he don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Well, I'll be honest with you,
I'm just telling you what I've read
every day.
I have heard that treadmills are better than pavement because in the Army we down ran every day, and that's just like everybody always gets stress injuries and that stuff, so they try and encourage like try and do treadmill or track that had like this certain type.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's got to be because I mean, your treadmill versus a road, the treadmill's going to be more forgiving than it is. But it's just that high, depending on how you run on it, I guess it's just like, if you're just like straight up like sprint.
I think running like is really bad, not the best thing for you really. Yeah, like a sprint, it's like fast paced, but like longer duration, that's got to be bad for your knees. If you're a heavier guy too, your knees, everything.
Well, my knees are in tragic shock anyway.
Really?
Yeah, they're terrible. I took, I mean, you remember when I took the HGH, like, I grew, like, I was 5'4" when I graduated high school. In a year, I had grown, and I was 6 foot.
So you took HGH before?
Yeah.
Like, prescribed by a doctor?
Yes.
Wow. So how many inches did you grow?
I was 5'4" when I started.
You're taller than me now, aren't you?
Yeah. How tall are you?
5'10".
Yeah. I'm right at 6 foot. Maybe with my boots on 6'1". We'll say 6'1".
That's crazy. I remember how small you were in high school. Like,
well, I mean, dude, I was like a miniature person. I was like, if Tate would have seen me, he'd have thought I was a midget and he ran the other way. I text Tate last night because I always send him midget stuff, and I asked him, I was like, how many midgets do you think you could really take on, like at one time? Like if they came in waves of 10, and then. The 11th midget was like one that worked out. How many midgets do you think and he was like, I'm taking on all of them.
Man, what if there were 10 midgets like just like hardcore workout like?
Dude,
savage?
that's what I sent him. I sent him this midget, and it was like this guy was literally 3'10".
You know what I would pay to see?
Shredded.
I would pay to see the midget UFC, bro. Like just 2 midgets just.
Well, I mean, you can watch midget wrestling, but
I'm talking UFC though.
Midget UFC.
But do you think they could get their little legs around? Like, you know how can you do a spinning wheel kick when your legs are 1.5 feet long?
I'm not talking about 2 midgets. I'm talking about 1 midget versus a normal size man.
1 midget versus.
I'm gonna say that's gonna be an unfair advantage. But I mean, I think, dude, there's always been questions like you see it on the internet. It'd be like if like a group of 10 third graders came, and every end of the round, there's a 5th grade boss. How many third graders are you beating up?
It's like Step Brothers, dude.
I don't know how many I would beat up.
It's got a belly full of white dog grabbing me right now.
How many third graders could you beat up, Will?
I'm gonna say at least 12 or 13, man. I mean, I don't know. Like,
eventually you got to
overrun me, you know. Like
that's what I told Tate. I was like, I said eventually they're gonna get behind you and start crawling on you. He was like, don't talk about that, bro. Have y'all seen the new COVID stuff where it's like 6% is really actual COVID deaths?
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow, I have not seen that.
And well, I feel like I've probably told you, but I know Will just tries to steer clear of all this mess.
Why are you steering clear, bro?
I mean, I'm just trying to keep a clear mind and accomplish this vision quest I'm on right now.
So you think which I mean, I guess it can. The outside.
I think it's almost like getting to a point where it's like a psyop, bro. It's really messing with people. Like, I really get into it sometimes.
Yeah.
And it bothers me a lot that people are really like how people have reacted to the whole situation of everything.
What are you talking about?
Like, I keep up with it just enough not to be an idiot, but you know, it's just honestly it dwells on my mind so much. When I get deep into it, I don't feel as good.
Dude, it all right. So I used to, when I was working for Public Works. I mean, I sat in a piece of equipment 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
I used to dwell.
The dirt roads in Lawrence County have never been better.
I mean, dude, when you can finger flick, man, this happens. This is blade hands from the promised land, son. But I mean, I would stay on my phone constantly, listen to politics, literally, like, because I was at the point where I was just getting sick of, like, bored of listening to music all the time. So I was like, I got to find something else to listen to, you know, something to stimulate the old scunion kit. Yeah. But I started listening to, like, a bunch of different, I'd already listened to Rush Limbaugh and listened to him a good bit, but I just started listening to a bunch of different political stuff. And it got to the point where I would get so mad throughout the day, just getting mad at stupid stuff that, I mean, honestly, in the long run, shouldn't matter to me. And it really did, dude. It started taking over, like, parts of my day where I would just, like, something that did not directly affect me would piss me off for the rest of the day. I'd have a terrible day because of that one thing.
I feel like that's the thing. Like, all the people that video it and the things that happen, like the scenarios, I don't know if it's people just trying to spread awareness of it or if people are just trying to instigate stuff, because really it does that. It'll piss you off. There's something that happens there and someone comments or the whole situation, it'll piss you off and it don't even really affect you. And you're just like I got banned on Twitter the other day.
You're banned? Like
permanently banned.
Permanently banned.
Permanently?
Yes. And then I created another...
Because you were like Neo77 or something, weren't you?
Yes. I created... Like, I had my account, and then eventually I just, like, removed everyone that I knew just would be offended by, like, a conservative standpoint or maybe a libertarian standpoint. And then I started just posting stuff like that, and eventually Twitter censored it. I said something about Cardi B with Candace Owens, the whole little, you know.
Yeah.
And they banned my account for basically saying good job, Candace, and saying how it really was.
So you can you even look at Twitter anymore now, or are you just...
No, like I my Twitter account got banned. I was like, all right, you know, I'll create another one. And I created another one, and then they locked me out of my account. It said, please verify your phone number because suspicious activity.
That's how they get you, bro.
And then I had my phone number in, and it's like, oh, you're permanent banned again on this account for trying to evade, you know, a permanent ban.
I don't even know if I should bring this up, but I did. I mean, I saw it today. Has anybody else seen the allegations made against Odell Beckham?
No.
I'm
not getting into it, bro.
Why?
If y'all haven't heard...
Well, I mean, dude, what's the best?
It's terrible. It's terrible.
What is it?
Is it worse than Ray Rice?
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice.
What happened to Ray Rice?
You remember Ray Rice?
Yeah.
Knocked out his old lady.
Oh no, this is 10 times worse. If it's true, this is 10 times worse.
Is it worse than Ben Roethlisberger in Millie Vegas?
Dude,
you know, I didn't even realize. Okay, so we were younger when that happened.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was so close to home.
Dude, I didn't realize that.
Rape can happen anywhere.
Oh yeah, dude, from quarterback from Pittsburgh in Milledgeville, Georgia.
Oh, you're talking about... I just seen that. You're talking about how that girl came out and was like, Odell's addicted to getting shit on his chest.
Yeah. Terrible. Terrible, bro. I mean, absolutely terrible.
I don't know if that's worse than knocking your old lady out.
I'd rather knock the hell out of that woman than I would do that. Damn.
I mean, really, but I feel like that's just going to get... Even if that was true, that's going to get, like, debunked. Like,
well, I mean, at that point, who cares, dude? If that man wants somebody to take a Cleveland steamer on his chest, he's got millions of dollars. So, I mean, that's up to him, bro.
I always knew Odell Beckham was a number 2 receiver.
What were we talking about before that?
I don't know.
Do you remember? Oh, we're talking about Twitter ban.
Twitter ban.
So, my Facebook has been on warning for 3 months now.
I got those warnings too.
And so if I get
my Facebook.
if I get like reported one more time, I'm done. Like, cause I've already had a 1 month ban before, and so I'm pretty sure like after the 1 month they're just like, screw you can't have one no more.
I mean, it's like I deleted my Facebook because I had so many people that were just like friends on there that I wouldn't even know in real life, and plus I just kept getting that notification saying this is happening, and I wouldn't be able to post for a few days. So.
What's wild is that your Twitter was not that bad. I mean, it wasn't like you were just out there arguing with people. Like you would just tweet stuff.
I would tweet stuff, and then if I comment on something, I'd usually literally just throw down like just a bunch of statistics where if any of you tie those in, they're fact checked and they're right. And
yeah,
just
but it wasn't like you were like out there calling people like bitches and you bitch, I hate you MFer.
Well, I call Cardi B the biggest whore in America.
Well, she is the biggest whore in America.
Bro, I just think that any woman that looks up to Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion, whatever these type of women are.
THEE.
Bro,
get it straight.
Like, this is what you attract. Don't complain about what you get, because that's what you're asking for.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't want to say like years, because people are gonna be like, it's 2020 now. They can do what they want, but like you got to start. It's kind of like being that person is what is she does that just because that's her brand now. Her brand is being a slut. And
it sells, really. I mean, it's like pop culture. It just
sells. And I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to come back from that. I don't know, because it's so widely accepted now. Not even that, like, okay, I don't care that Cardi B makes music like that. But if somebody comes out, they were tripping on Ben Shapiro. Did you see the edits?
No, I haven't. What were they? What did he say?
They just do. They put Ben Shapiro's face on Cardi B when she was walking down that with them massive tits, and it was him reading it out because he read it on his podcast, and he was like, "I'm gonna stretch it out for that wet ass," or I don't know the exact things, but it was just like. When it led up to it, and he was like, wet ass pussy. And he read it just like that in his Ben Shapiro Jew voice. And it was hilarious. So I've enjoyed the memes. Yeah. But I just don't know.
I actually did see him reading that aloud.
Yeah. I don't
saw the meme a little bit.
I don't know if, like, he was coming out and saying, like, hey, this isn't, like, why are we considering this, like, what we want our kids to listen to? And then he caught hate for it, like, straight up. Like, they were just like, F you, man. You can't censor Cardi.
Yeah, and, I mean, that's what happened. I said one thing about Cardi B, and boom, permanent suspension.
And I understand there's some people who, like, they talk about, like, kids in the past, like, especially, like, in the Bible Belt, your parents try to shelter you from a bunch of stuff, and
it never works.
So yeah, and it doesn't work, and then you find out like through just living, because everybody encounters it. I don't care who you are, I don't care where you come from, I don't care who your parents are. You're going to encounter this stuff. You're gonna encounter the stuff that just comes with living in this world. And I think it makes you ill prepared if you hide them from it. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna tell my kids like, hey, this is what goes on in the world. This is how I think you should prepare for this, or this are my thoughts and views. And you let them know, like, don't just sit there and tell them like, hey, we just don't do that. We don't watch wizard movies. We don't do this stuff. Because I mean, like, in the end of the day, dude, I legit know people who their parents were so Christian
they didn't let them watch Harry Potter.
That you can't watch. Which I never read any of the Harry Potter books. I never read or saw any of the movies.
I haven't either.
Not because I wasn't allowed to. It's just because it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, same. I just never caught interest a whole lot.
But, I mean...
But now, I will say this. I used to do some theater, and there's a play where they made, like, Harry Potter, like, a live theater show, and it's like, I'm not going to, like, lie. Bro.
You're not going to knock on it?
No, I'm not going to knock on it. I used to do theater when I was young, dude. Like, real young.
Greek mythology. Bust out in a freaking toga.
No, I did Grease. I did The Wizard of Oz, Seussical the Musical, and yeah, there was a bunch.
I could see him playing like a young Kevin Bacon.
Footloose.
I was in Grease. I think his name was Dewey, and then I don't know what the name of the character was in the Seussical movie, but It was like I was like the main character in that, and I didn't know because I was.
Well, see, I was already small and like weird looking enough. I couldn't tack drama club on the back of my head
dude,
after that.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was a kid, dude, in 6th grade, I used to read Twilight. I read all the Twilight books.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never read any of those or watched the movie.
Gay.
I used to read, and I actually watched all that stuff, dude.
Did you watch like vampire porn too? Like,
No, actually,
no, it wasn't that deep into it.
I watched the first movie and I read all the books, but then after my 6th grade year, I kind of phased out of that because I used to skateboard. And I used to I was into
Shred it up.
I mean, I used to do all that. I remember one time I jumped a ramp. It was like a little, those little black ramps you can buy at Walmart. They're like plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I put like 4 tricycles out because I watched the movie Hot Rod. And I hauled ass down my driveway like 20 miles an hour on a little bike, and I jumped like 4 tricycles, and then I put like 1 more out. And I tried to just do like 5. And I almost caught it, and I clipped it, and I broke my wrist.
Dang.
Dude, I was always like really safe. Like my brother was a lot different from me. It was just like at a point where he didn't care. Like he'd be the one to like the first one to jump off the bridge or some stuff, and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna watch a couple people do it. I broke so many bones, like just bones all the time. Just broke my collarbone, busted my forehead. I mean there's like a scar like right there if you can see it.
Yeah.
But like busted that open just playing around. Like I just always seemed like it was just always me that got hurt. He did break his arm on a go-kart one time, but that wasn't initially his fault.
Was that? Did he break a bone like here lately in the past year or something?
Dude, that man has been punched in the face 3 times this year. He has cracked. He was skateboarding inside of his house and busted his head open on a table. And then one of the times he got punched in the face, he fell back and hit his head on a brick. So it's a rough life for the young man.
I have never broken a bone in my body.
Really?
I've torn my Achilles tendon. That was exactly a year ago, like 3 days ago.
I feel like there's a prophecy
but
the man could never break a bone.
It says the Christ will never break a bone.
Well, you did too. You tore your Achilles, so
yeah.
Marked you out.
Oh, so close.
So close. So far.
You're almost Zeus, but you have to settle for Achilles.
I had to.
So, do y'all think we were talking about Cardi B? Do y'all think this culture is it kind of going to be like a fad or something? Do you think that everybody's going to kind of just like ease on back? Because every generation, I mean, this has been throughout time, kind of does something to ease away from their parents. I mean, you look at the generation that the hippies came before the hippies. Like, the reason they did that is because their parents were so like stuck in their ways, and they wanted to be free and wanted to, just bop out and be flower. Do you think this is one of those kind of rebellions, or do you think it's just this is the world we live in now?
This is the scenario. I could see everybody right now enjoying their pleasurous ways, doing what they do. Eventually, people are going to reflect whether they got away with it or not, and they're going to sit there and think one day, dude, I just did this throughout my whole 20s, all through my teens. Probably some people still do it in the 30s. And there's going to be people that are going to be like 40, 50 years old, probably still doing the same stuff, whatever. But then I think at some point, people are going to be like, we want to enjoy the finer things in life. And I feel like the finer things in life, that bar is always going to be there.
Yeah.
That bar is always going to be open. The club's always going to be there, and the things that are this like pop culture.
Do you think it's more of like the finer things, more of just like
family,
settling down, doing family? Because I mean, you look at today. There's not many people who have like couples that have kids and stuff that even want to have kids. It's more of like people have like one kid these days. It's just one kid, and they kind of grow, and then like you don't see the big families anymore.
I don't think it's just a fad. I don't think we'll come back from it. I really don't.
You think we're stuck in our ways forever?
I think it's on. I mean, if you look at it over time, it's gotten worse. Every 10 years, there's something worse than the previous 10 years.
Hold on.
And like in the 2000s, it might have been Britney Spears kissing that girl on stage. But
yeah.
No, we're still in here. No, sorry.
Just say it again.
Fuck off, yo! Oh God!
Yeah. He's back there. He's doing his job.
Oh, Slick Willie.
Yeah, he did. If he screws up this audio this time, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I'll call you back after we're done. Yeah.
How?
No, I'm just messing with you.
All
All right, I'll see you. All right, continue, Will. Sorry about that. I had to let Tate appear on the podcast.
I don't know. I just think we're at a point where I don't see it getting any better. I don't see like a moral revival happening in America. I just see it kind of like going on the way it is and possibly getting worse over time. How much worse can it really get is the question.
Well, and I mean, that's at the point we're at now. If it gets any worse in my eyes, like we're already at a point where it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think we can all agree on that. If it gets any worse in my eyes, it's that, like, we've reverted to communism.
Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, that's with everything, dude. I mean,
if
illnesses, things of that nature.
Think of it like this. Kim Kardashian literally got famous off a sex tape. And her father. Kanye West was one of the... He has 3 Grammys? 21 Grammys? I mean, he's one of the biggest music artists in the 21st century. If those two people alone, that's such a like small like representation. If they can revert and do it, I think the whole country could.
Well, I mean, that's the difference though between one guy and one like a couple humans.
Yeah.
Versus a culture as a whole. Because now we're looking at a culture where I look at some of the stuff like I see on social media and I'm like, dude, I can't believe that. Like, I can't believe they think this is acceptable.
So if it was really going to prosper, do you think people would be leaving the big cities or would they be staying?
I think you're going to start seeing like a mass exodus after this election. Depending on whether Trump wins or not, I really do, because number one, there's a bunch of things that come into play here. Number one, politics come into play first and foremost, because these people are sick of paying 40% taxes, and they're sick of the people, especially COVID-19 kind of like just set it off. And I think if any of y'all follow the podcast world, you know Joe Rogan moved from LA to Texas. And his number one reason was taxes and how he got to spend his money. I mean, a man who makes that much money, if you're putting 40%, I don't know what their tax rate out, but it's ridiculous. If you're putting that much money out of the money that you make, there's no telling how much money you lose. So, but I think number two reason is because people are absolutely sick of just the blatant hypocrisy and totalitarianism rule over those people who live there. I mean, you got to start thinking about the way these people live, the laws they have to abide by.
And that's why I think the people that like are ruling those areas, they like Candace Owens. The point she made is just proving that much more, because they don't go to someone like her. They'll go to someone like Cardi B.
Well, and okay, so if you don't know about the Cardi B and Candace Owens situation, Candace Owens is a black conservative female who works for Turning Point USA. Probably one of the brightest minds of our generation, if I had to say so. She got in a beef with Cardi B on Twitter because of something she said on Ben Shapiro's podcast. Mm-hmm. They then continued to argue back and forth. And so she absolutely tore to pieces on Twitter. And people can say that, well, that's not a real debate, blah, blah, blah. One of her comments that Cardi was mad about was that Joe Biden did an interview with Cardi B. Yeah. Cardi B was one of the only people he's done interviews with this whole time, unless they have like caught them out doing whatever. Or they caught him with an interview or something. And he sounded, I mean, you could tell by the questions and it was telepromptered. Yeah. I mean, the man cannot speak like that without a teleprompter.
I want to see him in a debate with Trump with no teleprompter.
Well, and that's not going to happen. You know that's not going to happen. Yeah. They're going to say because of They're going to say because of COVID-19 that we're not going to do this.
I would pay money to see it.
Honestly,
pay-per-view debate.
Honestly, pay-per-view $50. Would you pay for it?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
If it's 1 hour long, maybe we might have a little prelim.
Bro, it might.
And Kamala.
It might outsell McGregor Mayweather.
I think it would, dude. You start looking at
Yeah, it actually would.
if you started seeing watching the reviews, or not necessarily the reviews, but the numbers of late night television, Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity are absolutely dwarfing CNN as a network. Like Tucker Carlson, his one opinion piece show is dwarfing CNN, is dwarfing the NBA, and that's every night.
Wow.
I love it.
I saw something on that.
It should be telling to everyone that isn't aware that people are really unified. There's one group of people in this country that is extremely unified.
Well, I mean, in the NBA right now, okay, we've seen all this stuff like the COVID-19 thing. That should be perfect. That should be perfect for if. I'm sorry, guys, laughing. Young Will just busted his ass over there in the corner. But that should be a perfect thing where you're sitting there and you're talking to people, and you say, "Okay, y'all have been in quarantine this whole time. America is bolder than it's ever been, but right now, we're about to show you true sports." And if it was just sports, I don't see how you could not make money, could not get the views off of it. But they're not getting the views. I mean, when a conservative and a truly conservative TV show host is getting more views than an NBA game after quarantine, they're in trouble. And I really do think they're in trouble. I think that we're going to see something in an election that might even dwarf the Reagan election.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a landslide victory. And I mean, that's just my opinion. Obviously,
I actually think you're 100% right, dude. That's why I think there's going to be a change. I feel like people are going to want to get back to good morals.
Well, and I mean, but it's not even just that, because I mean, you think about the silent. They call it the silent majority. Mm-hmm. Those people aren't out there doing the things that you see, and I don't know if the immorality is something that is like a global thing, or if it's just that we see more of it because of social media.
Yeah.
And because I can turn on my phone right now.
Well, the media is
and
by these.
look at 3 different social media apps that I have. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's all different platforms. It's all different. Millions of people use it. It just, I mean, it doesn't make sense when you see that. But you're also, how many famous people are there out there? You're following these people. You're following influencers that you really don't. I mean, you don't know. They're not the majority of the voice. They're not the people who think like this. Aren't the majority. So, how much of do you really think it's just hyped up because it's social media, or do you think it's like actual legit? This is the way the United States is trending towards.
Well, I mean, social media allows us to view content like we've never seen it before. Yeah. And if you think about it, even when I was in high school, I mean, we had cell phones and we had smartphones, but we didn't have apps like Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. I think was just like showing up on the scene, but things have changed so much in the past 15 years that we're now, like, the whole world is connected. So I think a lot of the proliferation of the immorality is due to technology.
So you think it was already there, we just didn't see as much of it?
Yes. Yeah, I believe even Solomon said in the Bible, he said there's nothing new under the sun.
And I mean, that you look back in history and there's always been bad stuff.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's been this bad. And because I mean, all you look left and right and all you see is just however your morals are. I mean,
think about this. It's bad now, but think about the Roman Colosseum and what they would do to Christians in the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah.
They would literally, people would pay to sit in the stands and watch them get killed by lions or set on fire and stuff like that. Like, it's 2 different types of immorality, but that's, 2,000 years ago.
Well, I think it's a given that that's going to happen. I think that we, instinctively know that people are not always going to get along. I mean, nobody's ever going to get along. But I mean, obviously, especially for Christians, if you read the Bible, you're going to be persecuted. There's no way around
I
it.
say the best thing that we could do for America right now is to build a coliseum and let death row inmates fight for their own island. Like, whoever wins in the end, the one survivor gets his own island, he can roam free.
Well, Australia was basically that.
Really?
Australia was...
Oh, yeah.
They were, before it was, like, civilized, they were just dumping them off by the hundreds, criminals, just putting them on that island to go survive.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I don't know. I'd pay to see it. Would you pay to see it? I'd pay to see it. Like, you give them some, like, sticks or something.
That'd be crazy, bro.
Or you let them fashion their own jail cell weapon. So they have 10 days to fashion a weapon out of something they find in jail. And then they have to go fight each other in the end.
Wow.
Have y'all seen the new Call of Duty trailer?
Dude.
That's pretty crazy. What do you think they're
okay? So I'm not a huge Call of Duty person. I have the new Call of Duty. I play Warzone every now and then. I'm buying it just for the campaign.
Oh, this new one?
Because I've already watched. I mean, I watched the new one. I'm buying just for the campaign. Like, I don't care to play it. Like, it's just like I don't care at that point.
It looks crazy. I
But
don't know what it's about.
the campaign's gonna be sick.
Yeah. I saw the one trailer where they're like, know your history or you're doomed to repeat it, and then I haven't looked at it yet since. I'm like,
So I haven't seen that one.
That's like the first one, I think.
I've seen the one where they're in the conference room and then Reagan walks in.
I haven't seen that.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Wait, is that the first one?
I don't know when. I just saw it. I just saw that
Was
one.
it like a video game, Reagan?
Yeah.
No, see, I've only seen one where it was like real footage from the 80s.
Oh no, this one was like
crazy.
They're sitting. It's a video game. They're all sitting in the conference room. There's some mercenaries in there. There's I think the Secretary of State is in there, and then they have like a bunch of government officials, and they're sitting around the round table discussing something, and then the room goes quiet. Ronald Reagan walks in, and then I'll give you a stiffy.
That's what he said?
No. But he walks in and gives them basically approves this mission that you're gonna. It's basically about the Cold War, but it approves this mission. It's gonna be cool.
All right, so you know how everyone's like Ronald Reagan was not a part of the deep state?
Do you think he was?
No, I'm not going to ask that, but I'm just going to ask you what do you think of all the stuff the CIA was doing in the 80s?
I don't. As far as the what was that?
They did a bunch.
As far as the acid testing or not the acid, LSD testing and stuff like that.
Oh, dude. So acid and what you're talking about there is like the MK Ultra program.
Yeah.
So that was started I think in the 70s.
Yeah.
I don't when I asked if he's part of deep state, I don't think what the CIA does now is really that good. So I'm asking back in the 80s, dude, they were doing so much of that small arms type stuff
Dude, the CIA has been involved. Dude, we need to do a podcast about the CIA. The CIA has been involved in so much weird stuff.
Proxy war.
Weird stuff going into duly elected governments in faraway lands and making sure this happens to basically boost the U.S.
Yeah.
Dude, it's and so as far as Reagan goes, I think that was an interesting time because people don't realize how dangerous the Cold War could have been.
There's a guy I talked to a lot who lived during the Cold War.
Really?
He said he would always they would have protocols nuclear protocol
well, and
would
dude,
be crazy to
that's
live.
That's what I don't get. People now are generation. There's never been a generation before Gen Z to go through something like this. You look historically from 1900s to now. There's been flu, famine, fever. I mean, literally. I mean, year after year after year after year, we've had tragedies. Mm-hmm. They don't realize they're oh well. Now kids they have to do active shooter drills in school. Dude, they were doing nuclear Holocaust drills in the 80s. I mean, during the Cold War.
That's crazy.
50s. 50s.
So I can't remember when was the Cold War.
Well, it definitely was going on in the 50s.
It lasted all the way till the fall of Berlin or the fall.
I mean, really though, we're still in a Cold War. How do you ever escape that?
We never really.
Well,
I mean, Russia still got a lot of nukes. We still got a lot of nukes. China's probably got a lot of nukes.
It was mutually assured destruction. We both knew that what either one of us does.
1945. Good call, Will. But
that was the start of it.
That's when Truman dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, that went on forever. And I mean, like Will said, we're kind of basically all. Any country makes the wrong move and starts an international incident. People don't realize how fragile this existence we have is. I mean, and that's just depending on the politician that you have in office. They decide that we're going to start putting the beaters on folks.
I do think if like Will was ever the president of the United States. Ooh. I do think that he needs to give Conor McGregor the nuclear launch codes.
The bomb Scotland.
I mean, dude,
Putin would be riding around on his horse without a shirt off and see a glimmer in the sky from about 100 miles away.
What if Vladimir Putin gave Khabib the nuclear launch codes and Donald Trump gave McGregor? And
then at the end of their fight, whoever won got to set theirs off.
Dude, that would just be wild.
No, they each get one nuke. Whoever wins gets to launch it. The destination is yours.
Yeah, you choose. You choose where it's going. I really don't know. You could talk for 3 hours, 4 hours for just talking about some CIA stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I've seen, there's a lot of there's a couple of pictures of Reagan at the Bohemian Grove and stuff like that. And
the Bohemian Grove is a weird place, man. That's all I know. It's weird, and it's strange.
And it is. I mean, it is a really weird place, and you would not. But I mean, you got to look at it. Even though, yeah, he was at the Bohemian Grove. Honestly, the dude did a lot for our country. I don't care.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Would y'all go to the Bohemian Grove if invited?
Duh.
You would? Would you go, Will?
Facts. Now, it depends on what happens. Like, if they're sitting there and they're like, okay, man, you got to sell your soul now to enter the gates. I'm about, all right, I'm going to head out.
What if they're like, but you can't leave?
Well, then, I guess I'm joining the Grove.
Oh, my gosh, dude. What if it's one of those kind of cults? Y'all got to take a hit before you leave. I don't know.
You'll have to cut this kid's face off before you leave. We're going to video it so you can't ever say anything.
Dude, that would... I would sneak in it and video it like old dude did, but I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would get a thrill out of it.
Can you believe that? Alex Jones.
So you wouldn't.
This man sneaks into one of the most heavily guarded places or events.
He's
and
like Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, and he just sneaks in and, I mean, just totally videos their whole ordeal without them knowing, this sneaks away. You know how hard his heart had to be pumping? He was like, I got him now. Dude. I got the deep state, the New World Order.
The thing about Alex Jones is that video is impressive, but Alex Jones is an absolute lunatic, bro.
Yeah, I think
that man is off the wall.
I do think he's kind of like I don't think he's.
You know what I think he's a product of?
What?
I think he's a product of realizing our environment. And you know how earlier I was talking about just how much it affected my daily thinking. Whenever I would go in there and just every day, just taking in all this information about state of world affairs, politics, state of American affairs. And I think that he's just come to a point where it's just absolutely overtaking his life. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's also on some drugs, I believe. But tomato, everybody is.
Potato.
But I mean, I don't know. I really don't. There's a lot of stuff that I do agree with Alex Jones on. I think that he hits the nail on the head of a lot of times. A lot of people, the reason he got banned off of YouTube and basically all platforms, kind of like our young friend over here, banned off almost all platforms. But the reason he got it is because he questioned Sandy Hooks, and everybody was like, well, he doesn't believe Sandy Hook happened. He doesn't believe that kids died. He kind of went into detail on it one time. He's not questioning whether kids died. He's not questioning. He's questioning the motive behind the shooting. And what his theory is that it was set up.
A false flag?
it was basically a false flag operation for some dude. Who knows? I mean, the guy who shot the place up was on some kind of meds, and I can't remember. And it's kind of weird, isn't it weird to y'all that we don't talk about it? That all these Ted Cruz, the Las Vegas shooter, all these people who come up and they end up being master are basically all on the same meds. Is that not odd? Do we not need to talk about that?
It's like psychological drugs.
Yeah, like psych medicine, depression medicine, and it's like they're all on them. When they all test positive for being on those drugs, so you can't say, well, they got off of their meds and it kind of put them off their rocker. They all tested positive for these drugs whenever they either get hauled into the morgue or
are they prescribed?
Yeah, I mean they're all prescribed.
So if they're prescribed by a doctor, that's actually that's really.
Is it not weird?
What it's gonna do is gonna mess with gun owners. It's gonna infect the Second Amendment.
Well, and dude, that's what I'm dude. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I solely believe this, but I believe there's an agenda behind some of the stuff. Like you take especially like we look at school, the way the school system is now. The school system is not designed to teach young men. They're just not. I mean, you can't. Boys don't learn like that. So then when you get a boy who is hyperactive, first thing they do, hey, put him on Ritalin, put him on ADHD medicine. And from this young age, they're automatically dependent on that medicine. Or they think, I mean, it's literally like, I know people who are, my age. And by this time, they don't take their medicine, they're normal. They take it, and they're like a freaking zombie. But they think since they've been taking it for so long, I got to have that medicine. I got to have this. I got to have that.
It's like they did it on Stewie on Family Guy.
Oh, dude, I remember that. And he was just like, he was like, welcome to Pillow World, Bri.
Like a zombie.
He's like, I'm over here, Bri.
I'm not going to lie. I took some Adderall for about a month and played golf. My golf scores went down drastically.
They went down?
Yeah.
Because usually it'll like, I meant you. Okay.
Yeah.
I know what you mean now. Well, I mean, it makes you focus.
I mean, my golf game has never been better.
And I mean I'm not
par and bogey.
I'm not down in how and I'm not saying necessarily Adderall, but there's some anxiety medicine, some antidepressant medicine that they're on, and I wish I'd known we were talking about this, because if I looked it up, I could find what they were on. But it's all like this certain type of medicine that they're on, and it's not an ADHD medicine. It's something else, and I can't remember for the life of me.
It's probably just like things to affect mood. I mean, maybe some anxiety stuff like you're talking about. I don't know.
But I mean, it's odd to me because, I mean, let's take pit bulls for example. Pit bulls are aggressive animals. I have one. Don't at me. Don't say, oh, they're really good animals. Dude, they're an aggressive species. Let's be honest. So don't come at me, but you don't know nothing about them. I own one.
Yeah.
I own 3. Mine are all babies.
Dude, I mean, and he is. But I can tell, dude, this dog is 4 months old and jacked out of his mind. Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. These animals were made for something other than being a pet in somebody's backyard. Mm-hmm. And my point is that you get like, okay, there's been a certain amount, like a pit bull attacks a baby or something like that. And all of a sudden, this stigma behind pit bulls has came up, this stereotype. Don't you think we would start thinking, okay, 9 out of 10 of these mass shooters were on this drug. There needs to be some kind of stigma behind this drug. We need to do some research into this thing, man.
Yeah, because if they don't literally start looking at it from that aspect and they turn it into just more of a reason to try and take away us like weapons.
Well, and that's what it is. They're gonna be like, oh, don't blame the person. Blame that he had access to a firearm. That's all it is. So. That's something to think about, because you look at all these people every time, 9 out of 10 times on this drug, and then they end up shooting up places. It could be a coincidence. I could be wrong. I could be overthinking things, but I don't think so.
Do you think the Second Amendment, you should be able to get any gun you want?
No.
Okay, so this is a fine line. There's a fine line. Okay, there's a lot of people. I know libertarians that think that the government should have no hold on you whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I lean.
A lot of guys in the military like that.
I lean more on the libertarian side than I do anything but I am a law and order person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that law and order that is held up by a government who's just, a government who cares about the people, is a good thing. But at the same time, why can't I own a fully automatic 5.56? Or why can't I have a belt-fed gun? And because, I mean, those things are fun.
It would be crazy. It would be crazy.
Now, I don't think I need to be walking around with a freaking RPG.
I was about to ask, do you think RPGs should be available over the counter?
So, and I mean, I think if you get like, okay, and that's where I think the weapons licensing should go into effect. If you want an RPG and you go get your weapons license and you get your background check, I don't think there should be anything that you shouldn't be allowed to have.
Dang.
That would be crazy.
Because, I mean, they're talking about, I mean, obviously, we're not going to be giving somebody a freaking Moab or something.
Yeah.
I mean, but you'd have to have the plane, you'd have to have the bomb, you'd have to do that kind of stuff. But, I mean, realistic. Let's just think realistically. If I had a saw, what would I do with it? I'd shoot it for fun. I mean, I would be no threat to anybody.
And now I'll say this: if you had a saw, M249 Bravo, and you were hog hunting with that,
I'd just be walking around with a hard dick 24/7 holding it.
I mean, you would do, if you were hog hunting for like, you were trying to actually like, you had like a real problem with a bunch of hogs.
Dude, smoking
you would
them.
solve a lot of issues.
Smoking them. Squad automatic weapon, baby. Smoking hogs down. You hog hunters, go out there and vote.
That would be crazy.
We're trying to put the saw on them. But I mean, I think it's something where.
What about like a Mod Deuce, the 50 cal Browning machine gun you put on the back of a Humvee? Should you be able to purchase one?
That would be awesome.
We might need it. I can only get so wrecked talking about this.
A minigun on the back of y'all's truck.
Dude, I mean, I would love to see us going down like Main Street in Dublin with somebody just with a freaking automatic Browning sitting on top of their Jeep.
Dude, that would be crazy.
Well, boys, we're coming up on an hour. It's been a good bullshit podcast. 'Cause, I mean,
been.
we really didn't.
We didn't plan anything.
Yeah,
we
we
just came in here.
weren't. Tate unfortunately had to work today, and we're trying to put out content or at least 2 podcasts a week. We were going to do the football podcast today, but like you know, Tate's not here, so we're going to try to wait and hit that at the end of the week. And who better than to get Jackson Cochran and Will Dyers on the pod to let's just shoot some crap and just talk. And we went on a bunch of different rabbit trails. We stopped some conversations and started other ones and never got back to what we were talking about. But I enjoyed it, guys.
It was good.
Do it again sometime. All right, everybody, subscribe on YouTube. Go to our Twitter page, T&J in the AM. Go to our Instagram, Tate and Josh in the morning. We're going to start uploading stuff. Support the podcast as always. Peace.